Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Playful Wise Woman Show. I am so excited and honored to be here with you and share this week's topic. And it's kind of fun that it's coming today after I spent a morning immersed in this beautiful local studio that prides themselves on being a quiet space for creativity. It was really what I needed to anchor into this morning, and just have been reflecting a lot on this idea of rest and play and stepping out of that go, go, go energy. And so in today's episode, I really want to just start talking about this concept and idea of taking time off when we own a business. And it's this really interesting, almost paradox, at least in how I've experienced it in the last few years of my business. I've shared on past episodes and on my Instagram, social media accounts that my why for having a business is freedom and flexibility. And when I get disconnected or out of alignment from that why, it's where I start to burn out all those pieces. And I shared in episode 1 and episode 2 of this podcast my real aha moment a few years ago, early in business, where I realized that I had brought all of my old habits, all of my people pleaser, never saying no to anything, always working nonstop habits with me into my business. And it was like a real wake up call for me of how I had to start operating differently in my business if I wanted to achieve that idea of freedom and flexibility. And a few weeks ago, I shared that we took a spontaneous trip, vacation, quote unquote, to Cape Cod. And it was a trip that my family, my parents, and my sister had already planned. I had decided not to go with them. You know, Rob was working, Riley's in school, and it just didn't feel like it lined up for us this year. And as it got closer and closer, I could feel this desire that I wanted to be there. I wanted to enjoy that. And I had to do a lot of self-reflecting, a lot of talking through things with Rob, making sure this felt right for us as parents too. Because part of my hang up was Riley started in a new school. It was only the real first week for her of full days. I wanted her to settle into that rhythm and routine and not get, thrown off by suddenly pulling her out. And I had to remind myself again of the why she's in school. She's in school because it's what she needs right now. It wasn't something I originally intended for her this year, and we realized how much she needed it, and she's 3. And so school gets to look however we need it to look for her right now. And so when I was able to disconnect from that, I made the decision to go on the trip. And as I was getting ready for the trip and just working through in my head like what this needed to look like for me to go, a big part of it was included me still working. And I think that that's it. This is where it gets really interesting for business owners, because I think that we can easily fall into extremes of we plan vacations and we plan trips, and then we're glued to our laptops, we're glued to our phones, and that can get really unhealthy. It could also go to the other extreme of we don't take the trips or we don't do anything because we can't release from the work. And because my why is freedom and flexibility, it was really, really important to me that I go on this trip and make it work for me. My why for going on the trip, right? This is where it all comes back to our why. My why for going on the trip was to get up in that energy, get up in that space, spend some good quality time with family, let Riley make great memories with her grandparents and her aunt. And so for me, it meant that was okay striking a balance of some work time and then taking some intentional time off. If our why for going on the trip was this pre planned vacation where it was about family, it was about memories, the whole why for the trip was the vacation, then I would have left the laptop at home and left the work phone at home. And it was interesting because I was prepping for the trip, packing, moving some client calls around a little bit so that it worked for me that week. And I was watching another coach and person online kind of berate people for taking their laptops on trips with them. And it really just got me thinking that it's so easy to fall into an extreme in either direction and disconnect from the why in the first place. My business allows me to go anywhere I want in the world and work from there. That's amazing and a beautiful privilege. And I know that that's why a lot of other people go into business. My team members that work for me in my business, they have their own businesses, and that's a big part of their why. One of my team members right now is taking a spontaneous trip, day trip with her family. Well, she's working in the car for a little bit so that she can do that because it wasn't originally on the schedule. If it was something they had pre-planned, I would be encouraging her to take the full day off. And I think it's so easy, whether it's taking time off, going on vacations, all this stuff in our business, to get caught up in these extremes. And instead, if we can practice that skill of turning back inwards, pausing and asking ourselves, what is the why for this event in the first place? My business allows me to go incredible places, and how fun is it that I get to take my laptop with me sometimes and I took client calls on that trip on Nantucket Island because we decided to take a spontaneous day trip from the Cape out the ferry. I shuffled some stuff along, and how fun is it that I was able to do that? And it would have been easy for me to slide down that slippery slope of only working the entire time, which would have defeated the purpose of the why. I also was very, very intentional in creating some boundaries. I took intentional days off while we were there. I reduced my client call hours. A couple clients were up for bumping to next week. A couple clients, we just got them into particular boundaried hours that I knew worked for the travel plans and all of that. So I think it's so easy to get caught up in that. That's what I kind of wanted to frame us up with. And knowing that, I think it's really important that we talk about how we take time off in our business, because I see a lot of new business owners get so caught up in the fear of, I can't step away, the business won't run without me, my team doesn't know what they're doing. If those are the red flags that are coming up, if those are the fears that are coming up, those are red flags. Because that either means that you're not able to let go of control, and that means you're squashing, if you have a team, you're squashing your team's ability to step up into their roles and their powers, or it means that you don't have some of the correct systems in place to let things flow. We want you to be able to have a business where you can choose, are you going to take it and work from anywhere in the world? Or are you going to be able to take time away from it so that you're not chained to your laptop, chained to your phone, chained to your desk? And so a couple ways we do that is we start to assess who is supporting you, who can you delegate things out to? Is that team members? Is that automated workflows? Is that just an away message to your clients letting them know that you're not available this week? A lot of times this is really around communication and managing expectations. One of the first things I do with clients, especially my service providers, early on is making sure that they have systems in place to communicate with their clients when there's going to be a change in the normal routine. For me personally, that's either emails out to all clients, or for all my high-level one-on-one clients and mastermind clients, they're in a broadcast channel in the Talk Text app I use. So anytime I have a big announcement, we can drop it in there. Hey, I'm not going to be as available this week as I usually am because this is what's going on. And it's really important that we model that for our clients. It's really important that I model that for my clients because I am trying to teach them to do those things. I am trying to teach them to prioritize themselves first, to rest more, to play more, to seek out more joy. And if I can't show them how to do it, I can't expect that of them. So we analyze who's on your team and what systems you have in place so that we can delegate out responsibilities. The ship can keep moving forward while you're taking a little break on another boat, is the metaphor we'll use today. We also assess and look at what things can wait. I have a coach who talks about delegating, delaying, and deleting, I think is what she uses, right? What can we delay? What can we communicate out to the team and to the clients and let them know that it'll happen the following week? We have our own businesses so that we can decide what our lives look like, not so that the business controls our lives. It's okay to push things off a week so that you can go take time off, be in that space of rest and rejuvenation and joy and fun and play. It's okay to not touch your laptop or your phone for a week so that you can do that and come back refreshed with a fuller cup and more available to your clients. So, what can we delegate out to team or to systems? What are we pushing off or delaying until the following week? And what are we maybe holding on to that actually isn't serving us or the business and can actually just come off the list completely? I love the way that she walks people through that. I think I saw her do a reel about that. So shout out and credit to her for that. It's a similar system I use, but just how succinct the words are that she puts to it is so important. So really getting clarity on what's your why in your business. What's your why for wanting to take the time away, take the trip, take the time off? If this becomes a working trip, are you also intentionally creating non-working business time off as well? That's really important. They can't all be working trips because then there's no rest and recovery. And when we can get clear on those whys, when we can anchor you in, when we can remind you that you started a business because you're passionate about what you do and so that you get to decide what your days and your weeks and your months look like, when we remind you that you lead the business doesn't lead you, that's how we start to prioritize taking time off, taking time away, resting, playing. Layered in with all of that and nuanced with that is a little bit of what I had to prioritize this morning. Sometimes it's not always an extreme in the business. Another big tool and tactic that I use and teach my clients is themed days within my week. For me, right now in this season of life, with our childcare schedule, with me managing multiple businesses at different times, homesteading, it's really important that I have dedicated days that are client facing. I have my weekend times with my family where I'm completely off. And then I also have some other days throughout the week that are buffer days, me days, business strategy days, rest days, play days, homestead days. So for me, what that looks like right now, that time off built in within the week, is I don't work or operate or support clients at all on weekends. And that is a very sacred family time for me, unless I am traveling to teach a weekend certification or course. And I limit those to once a month at most. Then I take a day off when I come back very intentionally to recover. So weekends are sacred family and me time. Mondays and Fridays anchor me. I don't do anything client facing other than my talk text app, supporting clients in that way, because that gives me total freedom and flexibility to be where I want, do what I want, need what I want, need whatever I want during the day. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, mornings of Thursdays with Riley's schedule right now, I am client facing. Clients can schedule their one-on-one appointments with me. I'm doing coaching calls, whatever that looks like. And so what that allows for is that framework of giving me some anchor points, giving my clients some predictability and anchor points, but it still also allows me and speaks to my need for flexibility, spontaneity, all of those pieces. And Mondays and Fridays become that. So for today, for me, the morning was going to a beautiful little studio locally and having some quiet time. And it was interesting. I posted some stories about it and I got a couple people asking, well, what is that? I called it a CEO day in this instance. What does that kind of day look like for you? And it'll differ depending on where I'm at and what I need. But today it was quiet time, some journaling, some prompts that they had there that I got to play with, and just dropping in and checking in with myself on what I needed. Because as we play, as we rest, as we give ourselves space, different pieces open up in our brains and new ideas can flow in. There's room for creativity, innovation in the business, all of that. So the first part of my day this morning was spent kind of resting and mentally nourishing myself, journaling, creating. And then the second part of the morning there was really just sitting with some big things in my business right now. What do I want it to look like going forward? What isn't serving us? What are we doing a great job with? It gave me that room to step back and analyze the business in a different way, analyze how I'm showing up in the world and in the business in a different way. So, really, kind of talking you through two different ways to take time off from the business with intention, right? Longer trips. How do we navigate the difference between taking the laptop and the phone with us and the work with us? And how do we disconnect completely? And being able to differentiate when a trip is one or the other. And then also looking at building in some of this dedicated, intentional time for you in your weeks. Both are so important and both have a place and a need for us as business owners, busy business owners, multi-passionate business owners, juggling all the things, holding all the things. Our businesses get to work for us. And if we're not careful, it can be a slippery slope of the business running the show. And the way we make sure that doesn't happen is we stay in alignment with our why. We can constantly check in with ourselves on what we need and what our why is for given situations. And then we honor that and follow through on that. And we create intentional space for rest and play and creativity and whatever comes from that. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I will catch up with you next month.